racing to the areas hardest hit by a pair of powerful earthquakes that rocked northern Venezuela, killing at least 188 people, trapping more than 200. The 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes that hit Wednesday evening were among the strongest in Venezuela in more than a century. Meanwhile, federal officials, they're moving quickly.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the United States is mobilizing to assist Venezuela following a devastating earthquake.
We're already deploying search and rescue teams from Fairfax County, Virginia, and Los Angeles. There'll be some others we'll add. That's their most immediate need right now is search and rescue efforts. They have a bunch of collapsed buildings, and so they'll need a lot of help in terms of digging through that.
More U.S. help is expected as recovery efforts continue. Willie Nelson, the White House.
The U.S. economy expanding at a solid and unexpected 2.1% annual pace from January through March. That's according to the Commerce Department. In its final estimate of first quarter growth, the growth in gross domestic product marked a rebound from a sluggish 0.5% in the last 3 months of 2025. More from townhall.com.
What if everything you thought you knew about online exploitation was only the surface? The shocking docuseries, Sexploited, rips the veil off the digital darkness, destroying lives. You'll be stunned by what's uncovered in these real stories. Watch the trailers if you dare. Once you see it, you'll understand why silence is no longer an option. Visit salemnow.com and watch Sexploited in America. And visit sexploitedfilm.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Mortgage rates have inched up.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose this week to 6.49%. The average rate has been hovering around 6.5% over the past 6 weeks. Mortgage rates have been mostly trending higher since late February as the war with Iran drove up oil prices and expectations for higher inflation. That pushed up the long-term bond yields that lenders use as a guide to pricing home loans. While average long-term mortgage rates remain lower than they were this time last year, their upward trend has weighed on home sales this year. I'm Alex Vega.
Apple announcing an increase in prices for Macs and iPads, citing a memory chip shortage brought on by artificial intelligence. The Cupertino, California-based company calling the demand spike an unprecedented challenge for the consumer electronics industry. Analysts expect iPhone prices to rise later this year. News at townhall.com. There's been
Jim Clark, a.k.a. Check-A-Pro Joe here. Houston's best contractors. Houston's smartest homeowners. It all starts with the Check-A-Pro Radio Show. Now hear my show every Saturday at 7 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and prune tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory.
My friend for over 40 years.
Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees. And pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. When you need help, we're the ones that show up. Call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on and on.
Over there.
One, two, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself for Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate, stimulating, hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Our host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. It is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. Producer Phil is hanging out, answering the phones. I do have a complaint about the World Cup, and it's the fact that the United States is playing in California. I don't know why they're not playing here in Texas so that the game could be earlier. The U.S. does not play until 9 o'clock Central Time tonight, 10 o'clock East Coast time. That's a very late start out of this game. They'll be playing match. They'll be playing Turkey, who are not supposed to be very good at soccer, so we hopefully should win that one too, and maybe go undefeated in the first round, the group round, Group D, for the World Cup, and then move on. And you heard Jimmy X say it. But I'm complaining a bit. I actually am doing a morning show at a different radio station. I did a morning show this morning. I'm doing it tomorrow morning. But I'm going to stay up to watch the World Cup because, darn it, I feel like it's important to do it. I assume you're also going to stay up for it, Phil. That's something you're also going to be doing is watching the World Cup, yes?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Most definitely.
I figure. And you assume that it's going to be a win for the United States?
I wouldn't assume, but I'm expecting it to be.
Okay, and it doesn't matter. I know that I shouldn't say that, and they might actually rest some of their players because it truthfully, like win, lose, no matter what, they win this first round, and they get to advance to the next round. So the U.S. doesn't need to do anything. They could lose, and they'll still be the winner of Group D.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. is doing a pretty good job as it stands right now. So, I mean, I have some good expectations for them going forward.
There you go. There you go. Well, and you heard Jimmy X say it on Chris X's show that they've gotten a nice draw going into the round of 32. So they might go a little bit further than maybe some people may have expected them to go. We'll see. But anyway, excuse me, that game is tonight at 9 o'clock. That match, I still don't want to use those words. I just want to use regular, normal sports words for the United States. And I don't care if I'm talking about soccer or something else. I just want to call it a game, dude. And if they win 2-0, it's 2-0.
Yeah.
I don't want to say nil. Okay. You're okay with that.
Yeah,
you seem like
I get your point for sure.
Yeah. All right. You didn't agree with me though. I heard you be like, yeah, I get what you're saying, bud, but it's a match.
Yeah, it is a match. You
anyway.
know, at the end of the day, you call a spade a spade. You know.
Nah, it's fine. It's all right. By the way, Jimmy X did promote something that I think is kind of awesome too. The amount of people who've come to our country and enjoy certain aspects of it that they don't get other places. One of the videos that went viral a few days ago was this Italian dude at a restaurant in the U.S. ordering a bunch of soda because he found out that it had free refills. I have that audio, and I meant to play it a few days ago when it first went viral. But this is a dude getting so excited that he can have as many drinks as he wants that he just starts chugging, I think it's Coca-Cola. He's throwing it back, and he gets a little bit of a sugar high, which almost seems like he's drunk. It's not actually alcohol. It's just soda, but the guy is so thrilled. Here's a little bit of what that sounds like.
I can refill this 1,000 times.
Yeah, but you won't drink 1,000 cups.
You don't know me.
You don't know. It is.
You paid for it. You paid it.
Once.
Bro, slow down.
Bro, you don't need to keep going,
slow
bro.
Down.
It's cold.
He's just chugging them.
Slow down. Why?
That was good. This is free. Yes, please. Thank you.
This is a vacation.
Brother, cheers. Another one. Should I finish this one too?
Nah, bro.
I'm gonna explode.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't keep just chugging soda. That's probably not a thing you should do as a human being. But the guy kept doing it, and he loved it. He was a fan of it, and he's not the only person who's discovered some of the idiosyncrasies of our country and just seems to love them, which is great. That's a very good thing. I also feel like that's a vacation mode. I've done that in Mexico before. I've gone to Mexico. I've been in vacation mode, and I've enjoyed things like, I remember this actually vividly. Phil might judge me for this. You listening might judge me for this. It's fine. There was a restaurant we went to, and I bought a filet mignon. And, like, they didn't even have it on the menu, but I described it, and the guy was like, oh, yeah, I know what you mean. So he made me one. And it was like $11. It was way cheaper than a really good cut of meat should be in Mexico. And I was like, wait, how much is this steak? He goes, it's $11, dude. Or whatever he said in like 200 pesos or something. And I was like, yeah, I need 2 more of these. I ordered 3 filet mignons at the restaurant, dude. And I was loving it. And my wife is looking at me. She's like, I'm a little ashamed of what's happening right here. And I'm like, I've never had this level of filet mignon at this level of price before. So it's vacation mode. You abuse some things when you find out you can do it in a certain way in a certain moment. So I get it. The Italian guy that wants to chug soda, he probably ended up regretting that. I assume he regretted it. Do you think so too, Phil?
Definitely agree.
Yeah.
He definitely agreed. He definitely regretted that.
He was stoked, though. You saw he was pretty happy the whole time going in.
He looked happy. I know his stomach ain't.
Yeah, his stomach's not happy very fast. But 3 filet mignons, and I only spent like $33 in Mexico. I know.
That's a steal.
It was a while ago, so I don't think it's still a thing even there. All right, let's talk about some of the news stuff that's out there in the world. I do think this is interesting. Stephen Miller was talking about some of the stuff that's being reported on a lot in the world of both the Supreme Court decision that allows the President of the United States to put more control over how we do or how we don't actually do asylum claims. And actually, I thought this was probably the best question. He was asked by a reporter, do you think that Haiti is a safe place for Haitians to live? And Stephen Miller kind of looked at the camera and looked at the reporter, and he took an extra second to think about it because it's a surreal question. It's sort of a crazy thing for the United States to say that every single person in a country is unsafe and they all need to come here, which, of course, is not, I think, what the reporter is trying to insinuate. But Stephen definitely attacked it, and rightfully so, because of how insane it was.
I'm not sure you consider Haiti a safe country.
For Haitians, absolutely.
For Haitians?
Yes.
Yes,
yes, Haitians live in Haiti. It's not our position that Haitians should leave Haiti. I mean, it'd be crazy for us to say that Haitians couldn't live in Haiti. It's their country. Of course Haitians should live in Haiti. There's no viable asylum, or use a technical term here, CAT claim, or withholding claim, for any Haitian seeking relief from going back to Haiti, to their homeland. The fact that there might be pockets of Haiti where there's higher crime rates, guess what? There's pockets of Chicago where the crime rate's just as high.
Yeah, there are.
Right? There's pockets.
Yeah, I know that audio is kind of terrible, but yes, there's pockets of Chicago. I used to live there where crime rates are terrible, just like anywhere else. But it's sort of insane to think that the position by someone politically would be that it's unsafe for anyone, Haitians, to live in Haiti. So they're all allowed to come here, seek asylum here, and ask for that, and then get through that status process, which now the Trump administration is not allowing. Because of how difficult it would be for our country to survive that concept, that idea. And yet we see that all the time. And it's not just Haiti. There's a bunch of other countries that are similar in that sense. But of course, people can live in the places that they're from. By and large, the individuals who are there, it's not like the murder rate's 100% and everyone's getting killed. The actual aspects of a asylum claim deal with you, the individual. And are you in jeopardy? Is someone trying to harm you, not as someone harming someone else in your country? Because essentially everyone in Chicago could, not that they'd need to, but could claim asylum and go through a process if they needed to get out of Chicago that way. Because again, if you say that there's just violence in general and that equates to me having to leave wherever I'm from, that's insane. My wife all the time talks about this with Mexico. Even her small town that she's from, her family is worried sometimes because violence happens there. People go through that area, and actually there have been like drug cartel fights there, but yet they all still live there. And I have asked my wife before if her mom would ever move, like if we ever could try to help anybody come over here for an extended period of time. And Betty's like, they'd never move. None of them would ever do that. They'd never have any interest in it. But if they were truly in danger, we'd certainly want them to find some way to visit us for long enough that the danger would go away. And yet, no, it's just not going to happen. It's never going to be a thing. And they all have visas and stuff, so they could come for a few months and stay with us if they really needed to. But that's not how it works. That's not their interest. That's not their desire. They live where they're from. That's essentially the point from Stephen Miller. And I just thought it was really valuable to be putting that out there and having that discussion because, darn it, it happens all the time. And Miller went even further when he said that, asylum doors are basically closed for right now because it's another system that's been wildly abused for several years now.
So what actions does the administration plan on taking next as well as asylum case? There are millions of asylum seekers right now who are still waiting for their cases to be heard by federal judges. What is the administration doing to try to move some of those along the process?
Well, I think the most important point is that this administration, on the asylum point, is we've implemented international agreements all over the world to take in our asylum seekers. So America's doors are closed fully to asylum seekers. We've set up agreements where if you want asylum, then we will find a country elsewhere in the world to take you. It's very simple, a very elegant, very complete solution. Now, of course, as you know, you've heard me talk about it many times before.
Now, I'll stop it right there because people get mad at this already. They're like, how dare you? It's so terrible and horrible that you do this. But to be entirely honest, if we have a deal with some other country where we can take someone who says they're in danger, remove them from where they are, facilitate that move, and put them somewhere else where they would be safe, it does prevent the abuse of the system that we have. Our system is broken. It needs to be repaired to be used appropriately again, and we don't have the ability to do that right now, so that's a long-form process. And in the meantime, I don't think this will exist forever. I don't think that you'll never be able to make another asylum claim here in the United States. I believe that inevitably you will, but you have to clean it up, just like the voting rolls right now. We would like the Save America Act to clean up a lot of the problems that exist in the world of how people vote when they're not allowed to vote. It's fairly easy. By the way, I did like this audio, too. This is the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, saying that he encountered protesters who were yelling stuff at him in Spanish and waving Palestinian flags. And he had a simple message for someone who wants to protest him here in this country. Say something that he'll actually understand if you want him to understand the message you're trying to lob at him while he's walking into whatever building he's walking into.
As we've got people waving the Palestinian flag outside and hollering at us in Spanish. By the way, the vice president can't understand what you're protesting about if you don't speak the language of everybody else here. So if you want...
Rough.
Like, note to protesters, if you want the vice president to hear what you're protesting about, you've got to use a language I actually understand.
Yeah, that is going to be rough. All right, there. You do have to yell things at him in the language that he speaks in order to get him to understand the thing you're complaining about. It's a simple message. I'm sure he'll be called hateful and terrible for saying it, but it's valuable nonetheless. And then actually one other quick thing in the world of pieces of video and or audio out there that I thought was important to hit on. I really liked this. This is Hakeem Jeffries on CNBC lying about the price of gas and then being told he's lying on television because, hey, if we're going to say some things, we should at least say them accurately and correctly and not just make stuff up. Here we go.
These prices have come down at a level very similar to what the president said they would.
Well, first of all, the price of oil should have never skyrocketed to begin with. That's number one. Number two, perhaps even more importantly, prior to this reckless and costly war of choice being launched by Donald Trump, the price of gasoline was $2.98. Right now, it is $4.20. That's the average price. Right now, as of today.
Yeah, it was under $4.
Everyday Americans are feeling that pain in a way that perhaps doesn't
there's a
hit the
national
same
average,
way
Hakeem.
for people who are wealthy, well off, and well connected.
I love this.
It's 393 today, the national average, so it's not 420. We got it up on the screen.
The national average was 420 as of yesterday. This morning, it's 393. That's still much higher than the $2.
I love that the first thing he said is as of today. As of right now, it is 420, and he just barrels through the first version of the, yeah, what you're saying isn't true. And then they put the info up on the screen. They display the actual average price at $3.93, the national average, $3.92, I think it might actually be right now. And that is pretty definitively the opposite of what you just said, Bud. It's a very different price. 20 cents is an amount that matters. 30 cents is an amount that matters. And I love that eventually he goes, okay, well, fine. That was yesterday and now today, even though the day before, 393 was actually the average as well. And the day before that, I think June 23rd, the national average was 393. So he's blatantly lying. And it's such a stupid and little thing to do the way that they do it, the way that Democrats often just exaggerate and just full on make things up because it's a little bit of all of the involved very, very often for them. But it's important to go ahead and correct this stuff too, in my opinion. It's very valuable, actually, to correct this stuff because it demonstrates to whoever it is that still believes these people when they constantly lie that they are, in fact, lying all the time. Like, that's the part that I think matters the most to me, that matters the most probably to you, that should matter to everybody, is that we continue to out these sort of things so the Democratic politicians can't claim that they're more honest than the other side of the aisle. Because I get that all the time. I hear that from people constantly. They're like, yeah, but we're the better people. We're the more honest. We're the more willing to do this or that. And it's just blatantly untrue. And these little tiny moments are a perfect demonstration of how ridiculous this game goes and how easy it is for some to be tricked by it, to be tricked by the stupidity of it. So I really, really loved that. It's just a little simple clip. Hakeem Jeffries, who has watched a whole bunch of races that he tried to say, I want this person to win, that person to win. He gave his own nomination, or he gave his own, endorsement, and those people all lost. Hakeem Jeffries is not doing well as far as political power goes, political influence goes, and then even further, he's now just being caught in ridiculous lies and making stuff up. By the way, if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as the Supreme Court goes, I might as well play this. I don't think I've actually played this yet. This was the breaking news from earlier today, reporting on the Supreme Court decision 6-3, holding that the government can legally turn away asylum seekers who attempt to reach a port of entry before they physically step onto U.S. soil. So they're trying to set up a process that we have seen some of the most abuses in the world of people coming into our country illegally that would never win an asylum claim but want to just, be caught and released and disappear. Here's a little bit of that.
Decision dealing with the border was about if you have to arrive in the U.S. to start an asylum proceeding or an asylum claim, what if you're held on the side in New Mexico? You're not allowed to come in. Immigration advocates had said people should be accepted there, but the court said no. It says we decide only that an alien standing in Mexico does not, quote unquote, arrive in the United States. The INA, International Immigration Law, neither entitles such an alien to apply for asylum nor requires an immigration officer to inspect him. So a win for the Trump administration and the border policy that they're trying to control here, saying if you're not in physically U.S. soil, you cannot apply for asylum claims. More decisions to come.
Yeah, more decisions to come from the Supreme Court. There will probably be several other ones that we'll talk about to some degree. This is one of the bigger ones, and this, again, allows for us to take control of a system that we found just blatant abuses of. And we need to find a way to restore it to what it's actually intended to be and not what it currently is. And that takes a lot of work, and that takes a closing of a door for a while you rework and redo something to make it make more sense, to make it better. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who said we should just never do it again. We should never swing that door open at all. And I know I'm in the minority of the opinion on that idea, and it might be because I'm married to someone from another country. She didn't flee. She wasn't coming here and didn't claim asylum or anything like that. But I do like the way in which the United States winds up being a leader to the rest of the world in some things that we do, as long as we do them the way that they were initially designed to be done, which it's been a long time since any of that has happened. I like people being able to legally immigrate into our country. I believe in that, as do many people. I just think that all of these systems are so irreparably damaged that the only way to actually fix them is to turn all the things off, to close all the doors, and then work on a way to reopen them in a way that actually does mimic the intention to begin with and doesn't allow for the abuses that we have. And that's a much taller order than I think we can actually simply achieve easily by saying, yeah, this shouldn't work this way. It's broken. It takes time to figure out all the different ways that loopholes can be, expanded and taken advantage of, because that immediately starts happening. The minute you do anything, and I think President Trump has actually said this before, that you either lead with your mind or with your heart. And if you lead with your heart at all, you wind up getting taken more advantage of. But even he, at times, has done things that he thought weren't necessarily aligned with what he should be doing mentally, but they're what he's decided to do from a compassionate standpoint. All right, we'll take our first break. A lot to talk about, a lot to get to on the show today. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Crack open a cold can of fun with Specs all summer long. Stock up on seltzers and canned cocktails at the lowest prices at Specs. Cheers to savings. Summertime means seltzers, ciders, canned cocktails, and more at the lowest prices. And with Specs, fill your cooler, stock up and save big on all your summer essentials at Specs. Wherever summer takes you, bring the flavor. Easy, breezy, ready to drink summer favorites are on sale at Specs. Summer's about sun, fun, and ready to drink cocktails. Find your favorite canned sips at Specs and save big all season long. And if you're looking to step up your cocktail game, get insider info on seasonal recipes, or online for same-day delivery, just go to specsonline.com because the fun starts here. Specs, wine, spirits, and finer foods. Cheers to savings.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home and in need of the best realtors out there, look no further than the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. They've instilled in each and every member of their team hard work and honest values. And believe me, it's paid off. They truly know the Houston market and what it takes to get a home sold quickly and at top dollar and how to get the best deal possible for your home purchase. They're employee-owned. They care about their clients, so they always go the extra mile to ensure each sale and purchase is seamless and smooth. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group have been a top-producing real estate team for over 2 decades. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group at 281-440-7900 or see for yourself and go online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com. They sell over 1,000 homes a year, and they know every inch of the buying and selling market in Houston. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. I chose them as my realtor. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, your realtors for life. 281-440-7900 or see for yourself online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com.
That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, brokered by EXP.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. A lot of stuff out there to talk about. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has launched a podcast. That is a bigger news story, I think, here in Texas. I will preface this. I know that some people listening do know that the lieutenant governor owns this radio station. I was not told by anybody to talk about this. This is just a thing that I chose to talk about. I saw it. I thought it was interesting. I think the Houston Chronicle has written a hit piece about Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick already and a claim that they're making about an aspect of something that's said during the podcast. And of course, they're taking it out of context as best they can. But actually, I'll even play something that might demonstrate where the lieutenant governor is absolutely correct in what he's saying and how blasphemous James Talarico has been, both recently and just in general. But here's a clip from the podcast. He talked to Ken Paxton, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick did, and I thought it was a really, really good interview as far as the conversation between the two individuals and just in general what seems like it's going to be a pretty cool podcast because it will continue to give us some insider information in some of the stuff that's going on that a lot of us probably don't really know that much about. Of course, Lieutenant Governor Patrick is a broadcaster, has been a longtime broadcaster, so I think he'll be uniquely good at this. I'm not trying to kiss up the guy who owns the place, but I think he'll be uniquely good at this as far as politicians go, and also, as he said, the intention of this is to give us some inside information. as he, again, runs for re-election. So I just thought it was really cool. But here's a little bit of his conversation with Ken Paxton, who is on, by the way, I will compliment him. The setup for the podcast is awesome. They have a nice kind of area that sort of looks like it might be a really nice dining room in somebody's home, which is what a lot of the podcasters do now. And then they put their guests on a big, giant TV screen that's off to the side. So the Lieutenant Governor can talk to Ken Paxton, and you can see him on a big, giant screen, and then actually can even jump to the video that's being fed to the studio as well. So here's just a little bit of the back and forth, one of the clips that Lieutenant Governor decided to publish.
He seems to have gone quiet lately. Are his past words and texts catching up with him?
Yeah, I think he's really struggling because he knows that his views on boys and girls sports, on transitioning children and voting against the ban, his views on oil and gas, saying you can't be a Christian and support it because it affects the climate and all this. His views are just really antithetical to what most Texans, even a lot of Democrats, believe.
Yes.
But on the other hand, he's out in San Francisco raising money, telling people he still believes all that. And now he's backpedaling on every issue that he views as detrimental, that he knows he can't win with.
James Tallarico, he seems to.
It's absolutely true, by the way, that he is backpedaling on every single issue, everything that he said in the past. He's trying to say a different thing now. But again, I just thought it was a really good, interesting conversation between our current Lieutenant Governor and a fairly big, relevant politician, Ken Paxton, running against Tallarico in the Senate race. And it's just the beginning, because there will be several additional episodes, and we'll probably play pieces of other podcasts that the Lieutenant Governor does, because it's really cool to get that inside look. I always thought it was, and probably the reason I've done it for a while, I haven't played audio recently of it, but Dan Bongino's podcast. I find it uniquely interesting because of his proximity to several of the things he was talking about with his role in the FBI and the amount of time that he was there. And now that he's removed from it, he still seems to know some things. There's still some things he can't say. But, politicians actively in offices who are also providing information like this, like it's just really cool. It's just the kind of thing that I think we need more of, because there's a transparency aspect to it too. I guess the last thing I'll say before I play the Tallarico audio, if you're a politician who lies constantly, who says horrible, terrible things, who, essentially hates ever being in front of a camera or a microphone, if you don't have a total amount of control of what's being talked about, the last thing you do is be a broadcaster. People like the state senator, Paul Betancourt, who does the Amigo show every Friday on this station, or, now Dan Patrick doing his podcast, they will demonstrate, because of the long-form version of those conversations, how honest they are in comparison to most other politicians, because you can't survive in those environments and do well in those environments, and you don't wind up, being a good broadcaster at all if you try to just constantly lie. So we'll see, but I think it's going to be pretty cool. This is the bigger piece of audio of Tallarico that I think first started going viral a couple days ago. He was doing an interview, and he described himself as trans queer activist something or other. But then he also said that he basically hates Christianity, which is going to be a bad position in the world of Texas. But this is an unearthed podcast of Tallarico saying crazy things.
And that's, I always think of myself as a Christian who hates Christianity, right? And I always get drawn back into it.
That is a crazy thing to say, by the way, that you're a Christian who hates Christianity, and then for some reason you're drawn back into it. That's not a religious calling, the way that people would want to believe your calling to be. And if he couches a lot of his campaign in his religious beliefs, which of course he does it all the time. Other people do it too. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick talks about his own faith all the time. I think the worst thing you can possibly have, if you're a politician trying to convince us that that's important to you, is a piece of audio in a podcast where you say you hate the thing that you claim to be. It's surreal, to be completely honest. And there's so many versions of that. I know you hear on Chris X's show the best of, or the hits. He plays the hits of all the crazy things that Tallarico has said. But there's just so many more examples of that, and I think they'll keep unearthing them. They'll keep talking about it, and as Paxton runs against Tallarico directly and not in a situation where for a while we had them running against other people. Like the way that this was going for a bit was quite different than it is right now. I think the importance of this as we continue to go here is, and I see more calls popping in. I see that all our lines are lit up. So actually I should start trying to get to the calls. I don't know if anybody's ready to go yet. I think that Phil is still answering some of those calls. Some of them are ready to go. Who's ready to go? Line one is? Line one is. All right. Caller, what's your name? Oh, and you might
Hello.
have to, yeah. Hey, what's your name, bud?
This is Tom in Cyprus.
Hey, Tom, what do you want to say?
I've called you once before. Yeah, but it made me think about when you were talking about that guy going giddy over the free Coke refills.
Sure.
Back in Houston history, I think in about the 70s, we had a thing called Nickel Beer Night at the Astrodome because the Astros were losing.
Yeah.
And so, if you can imagine, as many nickel beers as you could drink during a baseball game.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, by the way. Dollar hot dogs, I think, are still a thing, but nickel beer night is long gone away with. Wasn't there a riot that happened somewhere, though?
I don't remember.
Okay.
They did it a few times, but I mean, if you can just imagine, nobody could find their car in the parking lot, and they had crashes all the way home. So
yeah.
It didn't last long.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic, though.
It was fun. It was just funny.
Right.
And it just reminded me of the conversation about that guy with the Cokes.
Yeah, no,
So that's all I got. It's just a little fun thing.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much for the call, man. And I get it. I get the enjoyment and the fun in that. Actually, it's fun. I was going to tell that caller that when I was living in Chicago, and I told part of this story on the air with Chris X one time, I met a bunch of Irish dudes. I was working at a bar. Everybody that I was working with got fired for stealing stuff. I was the only bartender who wasn't stealing, which, by the way, two things matter to me in that story. The first one, as everybody else was thieving, they were stealing money and putting it in the tip jar and then splitting it out at the end of the night. They realized I couldn't be trusted to be a part of it. Like, no one approached me. No one ever asked me if I wanted to be in the let's steal money from this organization group of people, which was funny. And then the other thing that I've always thought about it is that even the bosses didn't seem to suspect me as a person who was doing it, because the way that they caught everybody is they brought in a family member, pretended she was a new hire, and she got brought into the trust tree where all the stealing was going on, figured out the whole system, and everybody gets fired. I think some people went to jail. But anyway, the long story short of that version of a thing is they hired a bunch of Irish dudes to replace them. So it was me and like 10 Irish guys that were all the bartenders at this bar, and it was a blast. And these guys every single night found a $1 beer place to go to drink. And I think they were drunk the entire time they were in the United States because it was, whatever holiday rules apply, or they were on vacation rules. But it was a heck of a group of guys to hang out with on a daily basis for a while because they were hammered constantly and having a tremendous amount of fun in the bar. And I had to pretend to be Irish because otherwise I was the only disappointing bartender there. We got another call. Caller, what's your name?
Hello, Craig O'Collins.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
All right. Yeah, I threw the O'Collins in there.
That's fine. I'll take it, man. I was Irish for a little bit, for one summer.
So, hey, I know I called earlier on the Chris X show.
Yeah.
But you started talking about Tallarico,
Yes.
and there's some things I really would like to say in that. Everyone thinks that the moderate, quote, moderate independent is the key to victory in any election. And there are times when there is some truth to that, right?
Sure.
But the gold standard in our market for the, informed moderate is allegedly Bill King.
Mm-hmm.
And he appears on What's Your Point on Sundays. He's been on the Amigos show many times. He ran for mayor several years ago as an independent. And he said some things a couple of weeks ago that I really want to bring up. And that was, and this it kind of illustrates the farcical nonsense of these, quote, independents.
Sure.
And he says, Tallarico's only said about 4 or 5 controversial things.
Okay, that's insane. That's definitely insane.
No, he literally said those words.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then I started counting them, and I went way past 5. And I'm from Louisiana, and I can get to 10.
Yeah. There you go. You got
and
to
I
take your
got to
shoes
10
off.
pretty quick.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about this latest episode, and so maybe it was 4 or 5 at that point 2 weeks ago.
Sure. I doubt
But
it.
now we're starting to discover more and more and more about James Tallarico.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a Christian who hates Christianity. There's no other way to interpret that one,
Yeah.
is there?
Yeah, no. There's literally no other way to interpret that. And he claims that he just keeps getting drawn back into it, I guess because he says no religion seems to be better than this one to him, but he hates the religion that he claims to follow, which is absolutely antithetical to what Christianity is. Continue.
Well, and, all the other things. So I just kind of wonder, and there are times when Bill King will listen to the KSEV. So if you're out there, Bill,
cool.
If somebody baked some brownies and put just a little dog poop in it, just a little, would you eat it? I think the answer is no.
Yeah, no, I hope the answer is no for everybody involved. Bill
and that's
King.
what I feel about James Tallarico. Yeah. He's only said 4 or 5 controversial things.
Yeah, it's definitely more than that, and some of them are insane as far as controversy goes. The former mayor of Kemah is very wrong in some of the things that he's saying out there. I need to watch the show that Strusan does sometimes, the point, counterpoint, whatever that show is. I never get to catch
What's your point?
What's your point? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I need to watch that, apparently.
Yeah, it's and I'd like to talk to Ben about that because he was on a couple of weeks ago, and at the beginning of the show they introduce you and then they'll say what you are, and he was quote a conservative commentator, right?
Sure.
But they never put Marxist liberal commentator next to any of the folks on the other side of the game, right?
That's too bad.
It's only the guy from Breitbart, he's conservative. Gary Pollard, conservative commentator.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's the thing, you know?
Yeah, like it's some sort of slur, too, by the way. I did mention the World Cup. I do want to ask you if you agree with me and what I said to start the show. I'm disappointed all the U.S. matches have been played on the West Coast because these games are later. The matches are later tonight than I want it to be. I wish it was being played here, so it could be starting, in like 20 minutes.
No, it's going to be later than that.
I know, it starts at 9.
9, yeah. So, here's the thing with that. First of all, I was a little concerned with would we get a lot of patriotism in Seattle and L.A.?
Sure.
Real question, right?
Yeah.
And we have. Praise God. Thank you. Awesome. I think the reason for that, Craig, is that it does, in some ways maximize your viewing audience. Now, it might have been better if they were playing in Kansas City, Dallas, or Houston.
Right.
But you kind of want them in L.A. and Seattle where the
crazies are.
I hear what you're saying,
yeah.
and I agree with it. I guess the good thing is that, both stadiums have been filled to capacity. There's unbelievable signs, and U.S. Soccer has never seen this. Never, ever have we seen this because we're always a visitor on our home soil when we're playing Mexico or, any other country. But right now, we're actually have home field advantage.
Yeah, I just would feel uniquely patriotic to see it in Houston or Dallas or somewhere in Texas. There'd be something kind of really cool about that. I didn't even go that road. I was just saying that it's the timing that I would prefer to be more in the middle in a central time zone instead of the West Coast. But I also think that that's true, that it would have been uniquely cool to see this team play in this state because this state is very different patriotic in a patriotic sense than those places they've been playing. And I shared your level of fear when I'm looking up where they're playing that we might not get the thing we want. But you're right. So far, it's been a really cool atmosphere every time this team has played, and I assume it'll be true again tonight.
Oh, 100%. And you got to understand that there are a ton of people not from Seattle at those matches. I mean, these are people who've traveled all over the country.
Of course.
Our cheering, our fan squad, I'm not sure if you know this or mention this, but we're called the American Outlaws.
I did not know that.
That is the name of the U.S. fan group, the Outlaws.
Cool. There you go.
And people dress up as famous American historical figures.
Awesome.
There'll be a MacArthur. There'll be a George Washington. There'll be a Lincoln. It's kind of cool, dude.
Yeah. No, it is. It definitely is. Well, thank you for the call, buddy.
All right, brother.
Cool. All right. That is Jimmy X calling in and jumping on as part of the show. There's one last piece of audio I want to play. I was going to take a break, but I want to play the audio first just because I think it's interesting. And I think Jimmy X actually would appreciate this. I probably should have kept him on and played it for him. But this is one of the crazy people, as far as the left is concerned, now saying that Democrats must embrace socialism to win primaries. After what happened in New York, people like Brad Lander are now claiming that the only path forward for the Democratic Party is the most egregious, ridiculous path possible where terrible things happen. I think this was last night, or actually it might have even been this morning, that this appeared on NBC News, NBC Now, which is what they also call themselves for some reason. But this was a conversation about how Brad Lander and others, a guy who just won a race in New York, believe that going further to the left is the right approach for Democrats in the midterm elections, which I think would be terrible for the party, and thus I would be happy to watch them do it. But it's also something that kind of scares me in the sense that so many think this is actually a good idea.
And you said in your victory speech that you may have been insurgents in the primary, but now it's time to build unity within the party. So how do you plan to do that and ease some of those concerns, like those of your future colleagues, like Congressman Meeks?
Yeah. Look, primaries are where we work out differences we have about the future of the party. The general election is where we go build unity and support each other. So I'll be out working for Kate Conley up in the Hudson Valley and Pat Ryan. You know, I knocked doors 2 years ago for Tom Suozzi and Laura Gillen out on Long Island. I joked I did it in mustache and glasses, so I wouldn't hurt them. So there's been plenty of times when I have supported more moderate candidates. I want the same in the other direction. You know, part of why Representative Goldman lost is that he didn't support Zohran Mamdani when he was the Democratic nominee for mayor in the general election.
Yeah, he wants it the other way. He wants full support of the extremists who are on a certain side of the far left side of the political aisle that will then be incapable of coming back. And this is what Tallarico is trying to do right now, go from being extremely far to the left to pretending as though he's not quite as far on that side. And it should be a failed mission because everyone should see through it. And I think that's one of the other reasons that some of these Democrats never want to fully support the people that go so far off the reservation because they know even their candidacies can't come back from that. But we'll see. These socialists, these communists, whatever you want to call them, they are winning races in certain places, at least primary races. We will see if they actually win when it comes to the midterm elections, though, which hopefully is a very different thing. Even in places like New York, you hope that they reject some of this, although you can't exactly hold your breath when it comes to the furthest left of the parts of our country that unfortunately do vote a lot of these people into power. All right, quick break. A little bit more coming up after this. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
Offices located 1 Sugar Creek Center, Sugar Land, Texas.
Thinking of buying a home? It's important to start off with a solid pre-approval. Hi, I'm Kathy Baker from Baker Mortgage. Yes, we ask a lot of questions, but that's because we're not going to give you a pre-approval that's going to blow up as you're trying to cross the finish line. What's figured in there for property taxes? If it didn't come up, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. At Baker Mortgage, we get it right. We haven't been around for 60 years because we're lucky. Yes, we have wholesale rates, 80-10-10s, and all kinds of programs, but in the end, it's really about taking good care of people, and they continue to come back and send their kids, their friends, and sometimes their parents. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, call us at Baker Mortgage. We're at 281-313-6683. That's 281-313-MOVE or directly at bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License 263213.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. Thrilled to be with you. A whole bunch of stuff to talk about and just a few minutes left to do it. This will be our quick 4-ish segment where we talk about less serious stuff because, darn it, we can't do serious the whole time or we all go crazy. I think that that's part of the truth to the world in which we currently live and the obsession that some have with trying to say every single news story is terrible and horrible and bad. I thought this was interesting. The 10 health trends that are viral online that are actually terrible for you, according to any of the medical people out there in the world. I was surprised at one of the ones on this list specifically, but there's a top 10. Number 4, GLP-1 drugs, they claim are worse for you than people think they are. There's a lot of serious complications with them. I don't know if I believe that one. I'll put this out there because I've heard Dr. Mobley for the Methodist Health Hour often talk about the vast amount of positives for the GLP-1 drugs. But some are saying that there are serious complications that sometimes do occur. That seems to be true with anything. I've also seen a lot of people, no one that I know too closely, but a lot of people that I'm friends with on social media sing the praises of it as they've been able to get control of something that some people have had like a lifelong struggle with, where they're getting into much better shape finally. So I'm not sure that I agree with that one. But just above it, that was number 4 on the list for things that are advocated for on social media, but might not be as good for you as you think, according to the medical people. Number 3 was sleep deprivation and energy drinks. This is a thing that people actually do, or at least they claim to do on social media, and it's a, quote, survival tool. This gives you the capability later in life to maybe, get through something that's challenging. So you do this on purpose. Even if your body is not meant for it, the social media influencers that are encouraging this tell you to go without sleep for some amount of time and load up on energy drinks to make it through that process, and it'll be great for you. It'll be very, very good, and you'll love it, and you'll be very happy about it. That seems insane to me. I'm an energy drink guy. I like them way, way more than I should, and if I do have one toward the evening hours, it'll keep me up even if I don't want it to. I definitely use them in the morning, especially when I'm waking up to do early versions of any kind of radio or anything. But I would never purposefully deprive myself of sleep and then try to stay up on the energy drinks just to do it. Like there's no value in that to me at all. I don't know if Phil's an energy drink guy. I don't know if that's a thing that you do a lot. Any of them at all? Do you drink any of those or no?
When I was younger, when I got older, I started slowing down on them a lot.
And by the way, older to you is you're now in your 20s.
Yeah, when I was like 14, 15, I got you, experiment.
Yeah, and I'm a 40-year-old dude who considers myself, I guess, old, but I definitely still drink them a lot. But you've never heard of this? People who are sleep depriving themselves on purpose and loading up on energy drinks as a survival tool?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who actually does that a few times. So,
wow.
Yeah, I've been around a few folks.
Why are they doing it?
I have no idea, man. I think they just
they think it makes them sharper.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're saying on here is they think that it gives them some sort of tough thing that they force themselves through. There's way harder things you can do with your life than this that might give you more of a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah,
You know.
they believe that sleep is for the weak, so they just
Yeah,
stay
well,
up.
there you go. Well, I know that there's other people who don't sleep. Number 2 on this list was ketamine. People seem to sing the praises of this on social media. It can definitely be bad for you. Serious infections and whatnot, especially among young people. And then number 1 on the list of things that people claim to be healthy but actually aren't according to doctors, vaping. A ton of people claim, and I was doing the other radio show this morning, and the traffic guy at that station was joking that he does vape and he thinks it is healthier. He's like, hey, come on, man, it is. It's still not good for you compared to, say, not smoking, not vaping, not doing anything. So I think that's where the argument is. But some seem to believe that this is actually a much better thing to do than, say, a cigarette. I don't know. I think the science is mixed on that. I don't really follow it too closely. But I just thought it was interesting that it made number 1 on the list of social media influencers advocate it, and the doctors don't agree.
Yeah, in that situation, I would say that vaping is probably nowhere near as safe as smoking. I think they're basically on the same level if you think about it.
I would think
it's
so.
still bad for you at the end of the day.
It's still nicotine and stuff.
Yeah.
It's still all the things that shouldn't be going in there. Yeah, I get it. I just love that these are the health recommendations of the people on places like TikTok, which is why you should never take your medical health advice from the people on TikTok. Those are not the people to listen to with any of this stuff at all. But yeah, I don't know. I might at some point try to interview someone who's done the staying up all night and drinking energy drinks thing, just because I'm really intrigued by the idea of it. But I'll never do it myself. It's never going to be something I try because I just think it's beyond dumb to be a thing. Other stuff out there, sillier things that I thought were interesting. There is a brand new study, and we've seen a lot of studies before that say you shouldn't sit too much. You should get up. You should walk around. It's good for your physical health. But this study says exactly the opposite, that you shouldn't not sit at all. It actually studied 41,000 people in China over the course of 12 years who had jobs where they weren't allowed to sit at all, and found that their physical health was actually worse than people who were capable of sitting down some amount of time. It might seem like this is a little bit of a cheap way to prove this, and a lot of us might have assumed it was true, but death, heart problems, all kinds of things, they were a much higher risk for it because you don't relax a little bit. And this is something that I even tell people in my life sometimes, because I say that I'm a perfect relaxer. I'm very good at taking an hour or two to do nothing. And I know people that are not good at this. You need to be good at this in order to be healthier, both mentally and physically. You need to occasionally slow down.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. I
Yeah.
ain't gonna lie. Like that is 100% true.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. No, I love that people sometimes say that it's not, and they claim that it's not. And actually, my favorite part of this study is that I can use this with the missus. The next time I'm sitting around playing a video game or something, or just watching a movie on the couch, and she's like, you got to get up. You got to move around on a Saturday. I'll be like, I don't know, honey. I've seen this study now, and it says to me that my heart is going to be healthier as long as I relax a little bit. Now, granted, I won't go as far as to say that all those other studies out there don't prove that I really shouldn't relax too much, but at least some. You just need some.
Yeah, you need some time to relax.
Amen, man.
Sometimes to just wind down and just realize
Yeah.
that, hey, it was a long week. It was hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
gotta go with it.
Well, and I actually think that dudes are better at this than ladies are. I do think that there's a sex component to it. I will say that. You don't have to agree with me. That's totally fine. I can get canceled alone. But I do think that, especially on weekends, I find that my wife, if she sits for like half an hour, she starts to feel like she needs to do something, and I could go much longer without feeling like I need to do anything.
Yeah, that's legitimate, man. I
Yeah.
ain't gonna lie. That's legitimate. Like,
See?
I agree.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it's two guys agreeing to this right now. If anybody is listening that's a woman, they're probably yelling. My wife is probably about to text me and tell me how terrible and horrible I am. But all right, that's it. That's the whole show. Thrilled to be with you guys always. Thanks, Phil, for hanging out and for producing the show today. The Amigos are on tomorrow. I just found out the Amigos are going to have a very big guest on their show tomorrow. It's someone who just launched a podcast that I was talking about earlier in my show. The Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, will be one of the guests on the Amigos tomorrow. So it's a must-listen-to show for them. Please check that out. And I'll be on after them tomorrow from